What will be the new Harley Davidson motorcycle model? Let's get into it.
RevelatorAlf.
Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're all well. So this video is purely and simply speculative about Harley Davidson and what their next motorcycle model direction will be. So this is my thinking, and this is where I possibly think the next kind of model will be, or the next style of model. That's probably the better way to describe this. So is it going to be a new tourer? No, I don't think we're looking at a new touring package, and I don't think we're looking at, let's say, a softail package, and I don't think we're looking at a continuation of the Revolution Max series of motorcycles per se, in that they're just going to make individual models like the Pan America, that's individual, the Sports S, that's individual, the Knights, that's individual. Okay, so I'm talking about what kind of motorcycle could they be making that will be completely different, and then what series of bikes will be launched off that platform or off that bike. So when I was thinking about this, I was looking into the future, and I was looking, with my crystal ball, as it were, and I was just thinking, okay, what will people be doing in the future? How will they be moving? And I think the next motorcycle model is going to be something that is going to be a lot more compact, a lot more usable, a lot more affordable for the average rider. Now, this new motorcycle model and the series of models thereafter won't come in the next few months. I'm not saying this is going to be the next one. I'm talking about the next style of bike or the next series of bikes. And if you watched my video a few months ago when I talked about Harley Davidson and the Chinese motorcycle manufacturer and their 500cc bike that could become a reality, then I was kind of looking in that direction. But I thought, okay, but the Revolution Max engine, that's the one that they're really pushing hard. So this is my thinking. This is where I think Harley Davidson will be pushing in the next 2 or 3 years, let's say. It's going to be more affordable. It's going to be something that can compete with other motorcycle manufacturers to broaden their range, to broaden their appeal, but also to entice the next generation of rider. And I've always said that the Revolution Max engine could also be made in a 500 and a 700, 750cc variant, let's say. So if I had to put a bet down now, if I had to look into my crystal ball and say in a few years' time, 3 or 4 years' time, we're going to see a whole series of bikes in the region between, let's say, 500cc to 700cc, 750, with the Revolution Max engine, but it's going to be a completely different style of motorcycle. It's not going to be for the long haul. It's not going to be bar hopping or anything like that. Actually, I think Harley Davidson are going to be looking at a general commuter bike or a general urban bike, something that younger people can afford and can ride on whatever license restrictions that they have, and also that it's going to be relatively efficient and economical, simple to ride, simple to maintain, and basically will be able to compete with the rest of the market. Now, what will this bike look like? Well, this is all in the eyes of the designer, of course, but if you look at all the other motorcycle manufacturers who make this kind of mid-range, mid-size bike, because if you watch a lot of my other videos, I'm always saying that Harley Davidson should really produce small displacement engine motorcycles for the younger crowd. So I'm not talking about that. That is another sector entirely. What I'm talking about is this mid-range motorcycle. Now, I've already said in the past that potentially Harley Davidson could be bringing out a baby Pan America or something like that, one with a smaller engine. So in that sort of same theme, it's the mid-range bike, the urban bike, the commuter bike. And if you look at the other manufacturers, as I just said, most of the models that they produce in that range are quite generic. They're not really exciting. It's something that you use. It's a bike. Over here in the UK, we might consider them like a winter hack as well. You've got your big bike, your nice bike, and then you probably get one of these, an older version, let's say, just to ride around winter, that kind of thing. Their styling is quite basic. And if you consider consider Harley Davidson, they probably have some of their styling cues, but they're not going to throw a lot of money in terms of the materials that they would use. They would use a lot more plastics, let's say. They would use a lot more foreign source parts. Yes, it might even be assembled elsewhere. It might even be targeted for the global market as opposed to the US market. And again, I'm not talking about the Chinese 500cc version. I'm talking about, this is Harley Davidson with the lower powered or smaller cc version of the Revolution Max engine, and making a whole series of bikes that look a lot better than the Street 500 and the 750 that they produce. Something that looks a little bit more for the street, that is more urban, more capable of general commuting, and something that is going to appeal to the younger crowds, or the ones that are just coming into motorcycling, let's say. So it's got to be affordable as well. So this is where I see Harley Davidson adding another feather in their cap, as it were, you know, another string to their bow, or whatever it is. It's a market that they haven't tapped into, or they haven't tapped into effectively for a long time. They used to have the small displacement engines in the AMF years, which many, you know, can't stand. I actually like that kind of era as well. But yes, obviously there are issues, of course. So they could bring back that kind of model as well. But it's this mid-range, this step-up bike, let's say, from your learner motorcycle into something new that is Harley Davidson, but then you could graduate ultimately to, you know, the larger motorcycles, the Taurus or the Softails, or whatever Revolution Max engine biker you want. So could this be a reality? Well, I suppose anything can be a reality. This is purely speculation. I want to make this absolutely clear that I have no data on this. I haven't read any articles on this at all, but this is just where I feel that the next motorcycle model series, let's say, will be from Harley Davidson, the next big news, as it were. I'm not talking about whether they're going to release the Bronx or anything like that. This is purely about a mid-range series of bikes. They could call them the Urban Flyers or something. I don't know. Let us know your thoughts about this. You know, do you think that market should be opened up by Harley Davidson? And I will leave you with this. My greatest concern for Harley Davidson, in particular, as a motorcycle manufacturer, but I could also throw this at companies like Indian as well, is that for the most part, they are producing motorcycles that very few people can afford. Whereas companies like Honda, for example, they also produce motorcycles that very few people can afford, but they also produce many motorcycles that many people can afford. They do produce the commuter bikes, the cheap bikes, the scooters, all this kind of thing. So they produce a broad range. I'm certainly not suggesting that Harley Davidson become another Honda, not at all. But what I'm saying is that other motorcycle manufacturers, other of the big Japanese four, and all the other manufacturers around the world that have a broad range of motorcycles tend to do a bit better in the marketplace, and also have a better chance of withstanding any economic downturn. And we're kind of in this era now where we're not really sure which way it's going to go. And so for me, this is where Harley Davidson need to add these extra models, this other series of motorcycles, essentially to keep on bringing in the cash, so they can still produce the big bikes, the Softails, the Taurus, the larger Revolution Max engine bikes, but they've got this that is actually fueling the business the whole time. Let us know. I could be way off here, and it's just a thought, but I say these are not the small ones, which I'm always trying to advocate for. I'm talking about a mid-sized bike, or a mid-sized series of bikes, I should say. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, like and share. Check out the website RevelatorAlf.com, and I'll catch you again. Ta-da.